up, Woodward. We are starting off your day with a brand new crew. Meet Broder.
I can't control my arms sometimes. My limbs are just kind of flying.
Detroit Kool-Aid.
Fired up!
Y'all got Kool-Aid
I'm
hot.
fired up! But with the Wake Up Woodward crew, he's actually a part of the family.
Flannel Sam.
Ask me about my wiener!
Okay.
Along with JB and KG. Wake Up Woodward gets you all of your Detroit sports talk. Every morning, 8 to 10 a.m. Live on Woodward Sports. A show for Detroit, by Detroit, with people from Detroit. Tell Siri to set an alarm. Because it's time to Wake Up Woodward.
What up, though, people? It's Wake Up Woodward, and you already see we are live at Feldman Chevrolet of Novi. It is Michigan's #1 Chevy dealership. And I know you got a personal testimony here that this dealership will treat you right. You will get a good deal, and the process doesn't take as long as other places.
Oh no, I've mentioned it many times. This place saved me from not having a car for a while. Got myself a car after I broke down on the way to a Michigan-Ohio State game, and now I've had it ever since, and I am very, very happy. So shout out Feldman, always happy to be here.
Hey, I'm happy to be here too. We got some of the crew here. Shout out to Matthew Boda, our credential Tigers and our Lions reporter and writer for the network. He's not going to be with us today, but Flannel Sam, the vet of the network, and it's your boy Brandon, a.k.a. Detroit Kool-Aid, your credential Pistons reporter and writer for the network. We got a packed show today, man. We got the legend Rob Beard, who will join us for a couple segments. One of those segments is the Detroit news perspective on Detroit sports. And I can't wait to get his, kind of pick his brain, not just on Detroit Lions football, but also Michigan football.
Ooh, I cannot wait for that. And yeah, we got some Lions topics. We're going to be talking about a potential wide receiver that maybe the Lions could consider signing, considering nobody has seemed to seize control of the wide receiver 4 position. We're going to talk a little Michigan football and the Jim Harbaugh news. I'm excited to talk about that.
Yeah.
Of course, we're going to spend our weekly 30 minutes with Rod Beard at the end of the first hour and going into the second hour, and we might have a little fun NFL topic to get to in the second hour involving a former Michigan player. So it certainly is a packed show, and I can't wait to get it going.
Hey, I can't wait to get it going. Shout out as well to our elite booth today. They're in the space. We got KG, Detroit's #1 draft pick, running the soundboards. What up, though, brother?
What up, man?
I know.
It's one of the mornings, man, but we here. And sorry to anybody that had sound troubles, but we should be good now.
Should be good, good. Audio is good. Hey, there we go. Thank you, chat family. As always, you guys are the most important part of this thing. Go on ahead and smash that like button. It supports us greatly. We got that dude Justin in the building. Shout out to intern Chase. Stick is in the building as well. I'm wondering if we can coax him at some point in time into a flamethrower segment. Hey, shout out to Woodward Sports' MVP. That is JB Smooth in the TD space today. But let's get warmed up, man. You want to tell the people, I mean, you already kind of told the people what we're talking about, so we can get right into layup lines, get warmed up.
Well, all right, so I want to get to this first, and then I figure we take a quick break and then come back and get on time. But I'm going to talk about the Tigers a bit when I get back, but I swear if I see another person in the chat victory lapping over Jake Rogers, I'm going to die. I get it. He had a phenomenal game yesterday, but have you peaked his numbers this season? You guys wouldn't let me victory lap over Mark Cannon or Carson Kelly, but you're dying on the Jake Rogers hill, or should I call him Rake Rogers? Yes, he was great last night, but I peaked his on-base percentage this year. It's at a healthy, hefty 248, which is 38 points lower than last year, and his OPS is 104 points lower than last year. So I'm going to celebrate Kerry Carpenter. Yeah. You best believe I'm going to celebrate Tarek Skubal, but I am not going to celebrate Jake Rogers.
Welcome back to Kerry Carpenter, man. You know what? Yes. The content blew up all over socials. It felt like the longest 10-day stretch for him. But he got back, and you saw right away what this Tigers team, you know what? What the microcosm of this Tigers season has been. You've said it many times. Health has played a big factor in what this Tigers team could have been, especially seeing how hot they started off this season and understand how important Carps was to this team.
You know what?
We're back. And look, bro, yeah. I wanted to ask you this, too. Are we at least allowed to victory lap Javi Baez?
No, absolutely not. But you know what? Kool-Aid, you brought this up. I think it's something interesting. We're going to talk about it because I got a hypothetical for the Tigers
Yeah.
that I want to discuss with all of you in the audience when we get back. But first, tell us about Premier Pet.
Hey, I will. Listen, you got to give your pet the best. Premier Pet Supplies, hands down, Michigan's best hand store. They are best pet store. They offer the same prices and all the conveniences of the online and the big box retailers with one major difference. They've been family and locally owned and operated for over 30-plus years. They carry over 60 brands of food, and they have nutrition experts to help you. Same day, local curbside and home delivery. Premier Pet Supply. Give your pet the best. www.premierpetsupply.com.
Come to any Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men and claim your throne for a king's treatment from one of our talented stylists. Open 7 days a week. Walk in anytime. Just get to a Lady Jane's today and receive a precision haircut, scalp massage, hot lather neck shave, and a hot towel treatment. A haircut should not be a chore. It should be an experience. And that's exactly what Lady Jane's has to offer. Open 7 days a week. Walk-ins are always welcome. There's always a location near you. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men. It's wicked awesome.
The countdown to kickoff is here. Your Detroit Lions are ready for another season of grit. Woodward Sports is your #1 destination for all breaking news and Lions coverage. We are Detroit's #1 sports network. We are Woodward Sports.
Braylon Edwards here, Premier Pet Supply. Man, just looking around, who's got it better than pets? Come on, a baby stroller for Coda. A chef for Lola, really? You don't have to tell me who the real boss here is. Who's got it better than pets? Nobody, especially here at Premier Pet Supply. For over 30 years and more than 13 locations, Premier Pet Supply has everything that your pet can dream of, and guess what? It's all under one roof. Premier Pet Supply, family owned, operated, and proud to call Metro Detroit home. Check out premierpetsupply.com or scan the QR code today. Who's got it better than pets? Nobody!
Absolutely. How would you like $10 of free products from Dispo Dispensary? Screenshot this image with the QR code and bring it into any Dispo location, and you'll get a free $10 to spend in-store with a minimum purchase of $25. Visit Dispo Dispensary today or disposhops.com. Dispo Dispensary, your local cannabis plug.
Hey, look, I got to tell you guys about the Ally Challenge presented by McLaren. It's back August 22nd through the 25th at Warwick Hills. Since this is the return of the PGA Tour champions, you guys can leave the golf to the pros, and what you guys got to do is get down to hole 17. I know KG knows about hole 17.
Oh, yeah.
I can tell you a little bit about it. Look, $2 birdie beers, concerts, and more. The and more, you got to be there. And how do you get there? Get your tickets at allychallenge.com. Brought to you by Randy Wise Automotive. And we are back as Wake Up Woodward. Thank you guys for kicking off today with the WUW Crew. Flannel Sam Developer Network, man. We started talking about the Detroit Tigers. Yeah. Do you think Tarek Skubal got run support?
Yes, he did. Hey, he certainly did. And for the most part this season, I mean, Tarek Skubal's record is reflective of how well he's pitched, unlike Reese Olson's was when he was there. So usually when Tarek Skubal pitches, the Tigers score runs. But to me, last night, obviously, as Tigers fans, we love to see that kind of an offensive explosion. We love to see Tarek Skubal pitch like his normal Cy Young self. We love to see Kerry Carpenter come back with a bang, hit 2 home runs. But last night was almost a little bit depressing for me in some ways because it just shows what could have been.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, man, I'm wondering what angle you're going to take here, but you know what?
Yes.
I actually 100% agree with that. Even now, I still think if this team can get healthy and with what we see some of these guys starting to do, if they stay hot.
Yeah, I mean, I've said it before, and I'll say it again, because with Kerry Carpenter coming back and having that good of a game, I think it's a good day to bring this up. I truly believe that if the Tigers were more healthy, that they would have made the playoffs. And by more healthy, let me give you examples of this.
Hey, paint the picture.
Last season, Zach McKinstry played 148 games. I'll use that as the gauge. Just imagine if this season you finished with 148 games of All-Star Riley Green, 148 games of Kerry Carpenter, and just for the record, in 51 games this season, he has a 963 OPS, which is insane. You had, and here, I'll go to pitching. Eduardo Rodriguez gave you 26 starts last year. Imagine if you had 26 starts, which isn't even a full season, from Skubal, Olsen, Mize, and then if you would have had that, you probably never trade Flaherty.
Yeah, Flaherty.
And then, and as far as the hitters goes, you probably never trade Canna. You probably never trade Kelly. You have Colt Keith. You have Matt Vierling. You have Justin Henry Malloy. I'm not saying that this is the greatest team ever, but injuries have really robbed this Tigers team of some of their best players at the most important times. You see it with Riley Green right now. You see it with Reese Olson right now. You've seen it with Kerry Carpenter for the majority of the season, and you see it with Casey Mize right now. How much different would this team look right now if you had Casey Mize making starts, if you had Reese Olson making starts, if you had Jack Flaherty making starts instead of Skubal, Montero, bullpen? And this would look a lot different.
It would, and you're right. It's like I'm looking at the wild card standings again, and you would expect that the wheels popped off for them to look more like some of the teams at the bottom. Oakland is 14 games back right now, the wild card. The Tigers, they're still kind of where they've been over the last couple months. 8 games back. They've been 6 to 8 games back, 6 to 8 games back. And that's where it really does get a little bit kind of frustrating and, as you put it, kind of depressing, because it's like, wow, what could have been? Because they're right now, the reason why they're at least holding the same pace that they were previously is because there are other guys starting to step up. Well, what if those guys were finding their grooves while we had the rest of the roster at least somewhat healthy?
This would look a whole lot different. And this maybe be a hot take, but I'm going to say it. And because we don't want to live in the world of ifs, but we got to talk about it because of what Kerry Carpenter did yesterday. If Riley Green and Kerry Carpenter were healthy, I mean, Riley Green was healthy and he was an all-star. I truly believe that this team would have had a better first half, and this Tigers team would have had 4 all-stars. We would have seen Green, we would have seen Carpenter, we would have saw Skubal, and we would have seen Jack Flaherty. And I really do believe that. It's just, it's this damn injury bug. It's unfortunate that somebody like, with all due respect, like a Spencer Torkelson just seems to be somebody who constantly is the picture of health. But he just stinks this year. But Riley Green and Kerry Carpenter just, it happened again. And with Riley Green, unfortunately, it's a part of his story. With Kerry Carpenter, it's a part of his story. With Casey Mize, it's certainly a part of his story. With Tarek Skubal, it's been a part of his story. And now with Reese Olson, his first season starting a full year in the bigs, it's a part of his story. So I'm not excusing the Tigers for not making maybe another move or two. I'm just saying that the cupboard is not as bare as you think. They've got some guys. A lot of them are maybe a little bit too injury prone to rely upon.
But with the Tigers story, are we getting, at least in your eyes, more of a clear picture of where this thing is going?
I think so, but it just all depends on health. As I mentioned before, with Riley Green and Kerry Carpenter, it's not just random accidents. It's a trend. With Casey Mize, he's been injured more than half of his career. And these are guys that you really could have used at this point in the season where it all kind of fell apart. Remember, when Reese Olson went down, they were like 1 game under 500. When Riley Green went down, they were really still in it. It
hurts.
It was those injuries to where a lot of us just kind of waved the flag and were like, okay, now it's over.
Because they battled back, bro.
Yeah,
because remember, they were like 6 games under 500, and they went on a stretch where they had won like 11 of 13, 11 of 14 games. Skubal was absolutely fire, and the rest of the pitching staff had kind of perked up to the levels that we had seen only really in the beginning of the season, when we were like, yo, the bullpen is the best in the majors. Like, where we thought, you know what, if that kept up, one of those guys would have to be on an all-star team.
Absolutely.
So we saw that stretch, and it got me really fired up about what this Tigers team could be, not just right now, but long term. And then to kind of see things regress just before the trade deadline, then what the trade deadline brought as well. I'm just hoping that, as we're getting more and more answers with this Detroit Tigers team, that the injury aspect is one that we get answered quick. Because how long do you wait around for even some of the most promising players to figure out if they're guys you know you could depend on, despite the fact that all we've been able to know about these players or to depend on is that they're going to get injured.
I said it before this year, and I'm probably going to say it before next year. I want to see 130 games minimum each from Riley Green and Kerry Carpenter. And for the record, we're probably going to get 130 of Riley Green this year anyway. And I want to see at least 25 starts from Olsen, Mize, and Skubal. And if you get that, I think the Tigers have a pathway. That's the entrance into the club, getting that. And I want to respond to this from a Rando Smalls because he's doing a little bit of a, I would say, Javi Baez and Jake Rogers bootlicking for God knows what reason. Sam doesn't get that shortstop and catcher batting stats are in decline for a whole season because of wear and tear from position. Let me just say this. Have you seen Carson Kelly's numbers in Texas? They're pretty happy with the production that they got. I don't understand the Jake Rogers obsession. I get it. He was great last night, but look at his numbers for the season. And when it comes to shortstop, you better not be defending the shortstop position for the Tigers this year because it's one of the worst we've ever seen. And I know that wear and tear has been just horrible for Gunnar Henderson, Bobby Witt, and Corey Seager. Nobody can survive the wear and tear from the shortstop position. It's bound to happen to everybody. Everybody's going to turn into Javi Baez eventually. Right, Rando? Right? Stop it. Jesus Christ.
Oh, man. The Detroit Tigers, they still find ways to get us super passionate. And it's because they were right there. I suspect if a lot of fans thought that this would be a team that looked like the wheels were falling off from the beginning, more like a team like the Oakland A's, instead of one that you could tell with the potential here, with what they have on the roster, with how – for better or worse, no matter if you thought he was perfect, because he wasn't perfect, but whether you thought he was, passing it or not, A.J. Hinch's manager, he was doing, in my opinion, a good job with the talent that he had on the roster. So, looking at what they are right now, it's just like, wow, what could have been? What could have been? One game under 500 right before Reese Olsen got injured, and now that's where the team is. And that's why I'm like, you know what? I don't want to continue to, like, as a fan, go through these gut punches and continue to wait around for some of these young players to figure out what they're going to be. I'm hoping that moving forward, Harris, A.J. Hinch, and Cole, and Illich, that they have a clear-cut plan on, even if you're going to still take your time with these young players, to at least bring in the right type of guys that can at least augment this thing so you can still focus on their development while making sure that you can move this team into a phase where you're actually punching that ticket for the wild card.
Yeah, and I guess if there's good news – I think the best news of all, at least for me, is that I'm not worried in the slightest about Riley Green and Kerry Carpenter as players. I think at this point, because I know there was some doubt about Kerry Carpenter because he wasn't the prospect that Riley Green was or even Spencer Torkelson was, Kerry Carpenter over 200 career MLB games has an 843 OPS. That is really good. That's an all-star level OPS. That's 1 point higher than Riley Green's is this season. And of course, Riley Green was a very, very deserving all-star. It's just it's all about health. And for the people who say that the Tigers should have done more, you know what? Maybe that would have made it easier for the Tigers to withstand some injuries. I have completely waved the white flag that the Tigers would be a lot better if they got Matt Chapman, even though I fought it a lot at the beginning of the year. But just imagine a full season of Matt Chapman, Kerry Carpenter, and Riley Green. Boy, I mean,
you're spitting facts. That's why this is disappointing because this team showed us what they could be, and it felt like the rug kind of got pulled from underneath us due to the injuries, due to some untimely slumps, due to the fact that we thought Torque was going to be somebody that we could depend on, that this was going to be the season that he finally takes that step forward. And instead, this is a season where I don't even think people care anymore. Like, at this point, I don't know. Like, I want to know from the chat family, like, where are you guys at as it relates to Spencer Torkelson? Like, are you guys caring still about what he could be? Are you still holding on to hope? Like, you know what I mean? Because it feels like, especially with some of these other players that are starting to get hot, some of these other young players, some of the guys we have coming up in the majors, you can't wait around for this guy anymore.
There was, and I know people are going to pretend that this didn't happen, and I'm not trying to victory lap or anything, I promise. There was somebody in this room that was higher on Kerry Carpenter and Riley Green than Spencer Torkelson coming into this year. It may or may not have been me.
Who was that?
It may or may not have been me.
Oh.
I was the one who was warning about
JB, we
his
might have
low
to check
on-base
those tapes.
percentage and a low OPS. I'm just saying. But no, but I did think that he would have a better year, and I'm not saying that it's over for him. But we need to see. Imagine if we get a September of Spencer Torkelson, Kerry Carpenter, and Riley Green. At least that would give you some clarity. And I honestly think, with what we know already about Kerry Carpenter and Riley Green, the end of the season could actually have it looking pretty good, especially considering we got 7 games against the White Sox, 3 against the A's, 3 against the Rockies. The Tigers could actually end this season looking pretty impressive, and I would love to see it.
And is it this season that you're hoping to get some of these answers on some of these players, some of the injury-prone ones, some of the ones that have struggled like Torque, or are you looking into next season?
Well, Riley Green, that goal I had from him of playing 130 games, that's still alive and well. I would love to see it. With Kerry Carpenter, I would love to see how he continues to respond from this injury, which was a stress fracture in back, which is scary.
Yeah.
With Spencer Torkelson, we need to know what he is, because we don't know if maybe we should try to get another first baseman or not. But if he finishes September strong, maybe it's like give him another chance next year. I don't know.
Man.
But
KG, I got to ask you, strong September? Because you were one of the ones I was like, you know what? It might be time to move on. Strong September for you. You give it Torque another season?
I got to see it, man. And I know he's probably going to get called up in September call-ups. I just need to see it again at the MLB level because I don't have confidence right now. And I think for a lot of fans, this was somebody that was a 1-1 guy who was supposed to come in, and you weren't supposed to have these type of issues with him. Like, yes, he would struggle, but you didn't expect him to be back in AAA. So at this point, I just need to see it again. But if he can't get anything done in September or at least look like half the player he was before, I don't know why you bring him to spring next year.
Yeah, and one more question for you, too, man. Just with you, what's that timeline looking like for you? Because I do believe that what Flan was saying is it's a pretty fair timeline, especially given the fact that Harris kind of just got here, within the last 20 months on the job. So it's like for you, are you looking to have these answers on some of these injured players, some of the players in the slump by this season, or are you looking into next season?
Definitely. We can't get any answers this season. I think we figured that out a long time ago. But I do think that they maybe have a semblance of a core now. Not sure. I mean, it's still a few interchanging parts in there, but I think overall they have a decent core that they can build upon. But it's just going forward, this is a youth movement, man, and this is the things you have to go through dealing with a youth movement again. And I know people don't want to hear that. I know Tigers fans especially don't want to hear that. Trust me, I'm with you. But Scott Harris really hasn't made his imprint on the team yet. We're starting to see a bits and pieces of how it could look, and it does seem like he can evaluate talent. So with that being said, you got to wait this thing out, man. Unfortunately, another 1 to 2 years, and maybe we can have a playoff contender in this town.
Yeah, and you know what? I know we're about to get into this next segment, but it reminds me early on of a little bit of like Harbaugh, because I know in college football, when you're the head coach, you're managing everything. You're managing everything as it relates to even player personnel, who's being brought in, your own staff, and so much more, similar to like what Harris is probably going to have to do with these Tigers. So it's something interesting to see as they move forward with the different timelines and such. But I do want to get into the Michigan football stuff, man.
all right.
I'm pretty excited about
Let's
that.
do it. Yeah, let's do it.
Where we going, JB?
Hey, Planet
rock.
Fitness. No matter where you are, there's a Planet Fitness close by. There are more than 50 in Metro Detroit and thousands more throughout the world. At Planet Fitness, you'll experience a squeaky clean gym that has tons of equipment, friendly, knowledgeable staff, and a totally judgment-free atmosphere. Did you know that all Planet Fitness memberships include fitness training for no extra cost? Want all the perks? Upgrade to the PF Black Card and enjoy use of amenities such as unlimited use of the Black Card Spa featuring hydro massage, massage chairs, and total body enhancement and more, along with access to over 2,500 locations worldwide and unlimited guest privileges. For more information or to join today, visit your local Planet Fitness or planetfitness.com.
Braylon Edwards here, Premier Pet Supply. Man, just looking around, who's got it better than pets? Come on, a baby stroller for Coda? A chef for Lola? Really? You don't have to tell me who the real boss here is. Who's got it better than pets? Nobody, especially here at Premier Pet Supply. For over 30 years and more than 13 locations, Premier Pet Supply has everything that your pet can dream of, and guess what? It's all under one roof. Premier Pet Supply, family owned, operated, and proud to call Metro Detroit home. Check out premierpetsupply.com or scan the QR code today. Who's got it better than pets?
Nobody! The Ally Challenge presented by McLaren is back August 22nd through 25th at Warwick Hills and Grand Blanc. Be there for PGA Tour Champions Golf, Family Night, concerts, and more. Tickets start at just $15. Get yours at allychallenge.com today.
The Great American Chevy Week is back and bigger than ever at Feldman Chevrolet. Choose from the largest inventory of award-winning Chevys, all priced to move for the biggest week of the year. Get this 2024 Silverado for only $213 a month, or this 2024 Equinox for as low as $249 a month. Feldman takes the Great American Chevy Week to another level. Feldman Chevrolet, Michigan's #1 Chevy dealer.
It's bear hunting season, and Dan Campbell is hungry for some kneecaps.
If you can just get a hold of them and you start dragging their ass out to the deep, dark abyss, you can drown them.
The Kings of the North are back for another year of the brand new Lions. Make sure you're locked in to Detroit's #1 sports network for all the news and info on your Detroit Lions.
Woodward Sports, let's go.
Hey, thank you guys for staying tapped in with Wake Up Woodward Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. I'm hoping you guys are smashing the like button, not just for us, but all the Woodward Sports Network. After us, you got Big D Energy from 11 to 1, four-time Stanley Cup champion, Darren McCarthy alongside his co-host, the Golden Voice, Neil Rule. After that, you got Ermanni and Edwards with Maz from 2 to 4. You got Maz away, you got Braylon Edwards, you got Ryan Ermanni. And then after that, Woodward Heavyweights, man, from 5 to 7. The big fellas, Spin More Racks, Speak Easy in their elite booth, Nick Koloff, Chris Plotty, and everybody who's a part of the Woodward Heavyweights gang, bringing you the biggest interviews, breakdowns, and laughs. But most importantly, we appreciate you guys for making Woodward Sports your #1 digital sports outlet. And we are back. It's Wake Up Woodward. Thank you guys for choosing to kick off the day with the WUW Crew. We are live at Feldman Chevrolet of Novi. It is Michigan's #1 Chevy dealership. And you never know who's going to stop in. It's like, one of the times we were here, Malcolm Rodriguez just popped in.
Yep.
Right on stream. Said hi to the people. It's pretty dope.
No, he's the man.
He's the man.
I love it.
Hey, and you know what? I want to get into the Michigan stuff, but because I do see some similarities between some of the complaints that people had about Michigan football at the beginning of Harbaugh's tenure, as it relates to Harris at the beginning of this. And I'm like, you know what? Maybe give Harris the same time we gave Harbaugh to get his guys in there. And I know we'll talk about it a little bit later, but I got the Lions shirt on.
Yes.
I know that you're amped to talk Detroit Lions.
Yes.
Let's jump into Detroit Lions now before we get Rod Beard on.
Absolutely. And we've seen what the we've heard the reports. We've seen what the wide receiver for battle has looked like both in preseason and from the reports we're hearing. And allegedly, nobody has really seized control of it. Hey, the Lions might not even need somebody who's a wide receiver 3 as well if you'd rather see Khalif Raymond at wide receiver 4. So there was a receiver who was just cut, who has had a lot of success in this league, who I think could fit right into this Lions team and be a contributor, maybe be that wide receiver 3 or 4 that is more reliable. That is Mr. Juju Smith-Schuster.
Oh, not CeeDee Lamb.
I'd love to have CeeDee Lamb in a vacuum, but Juju Smith-Schuster is realistic. And I'm curious to see what the chat feels about that. But I'm going to give you the reasons why,
let's get that poll, JB.
Why the Lions should absolutely do this without a shadow of a doubt. Number one, Juju Smith-Schuster is just 27 years old. He's not washed. He had a bad season with the Patriots last year, but the Patriots, they had Mac Jones as their starting quarterback. Yeah. They had Bailey Zappi. Their offense was an absolute mess. Look at the receiving stats last season from the New England Patriots. Nobody thrived. Nobody. Their leading receiver had 561 receiving yards, and it was DeMario Douglas. I give nobody any blame for what happened for the New England Patriots last year. But here's the thing about Juju, which I like. I'm not even going to talk about in 2018 when he looked like one of the rising star wide receivers and it just never materialized. I'm going to look at what he did for the Kansas City Chiefs in 2022. How he KG's shaking his head, but it's okay. We'll get to you in a second.
No, do your thing, man.
We'll get to you in a second. The thing about the Kansas City Chiefs offense in 2022, in which they needed to change and evolve, is that was their first year post-Tyreek Hill. This was a year in which Kansas City thrived more on timing and short passes and yards after catch. And Juju Smith-Schuster just happened to be the second leading receiver on that team after Tyreek Hill. Juju had over 900 receiving yards, and that to me is an offense that is more similar to what we're going to be seeing with this 2024 Lions team, with timing, short passes, rhythm, maybe like 3rd and 7, 10, 11-yard completions, and that to me is where
sure-armed quarterback, like a quarterback that's a sure leader as well in Jared Goff. That's something you have to factor in, that this is the Ben Johnson, world of madness on his offensive side of the ball. And then you're talking about, I don't see a problem with bringing in a vet who can play the position well and also be able to help that wide receiver room too. I don't see necessarily the downside in that, especially if he can come in here and mesh with Jared Goff at all. And as a vet, you would assume that he would be able to kind of hit the ground running.
Well, and I see it in the chat. I see it from our very own Stick. I see it from Chuck Brewer that Juju Smith-Schuster is a diva, that we saw some signs of it with the Pittsburgh Steelers, and I'm not going to deny that. But this man thrived with the Kansas City Chiefs, the greatest culture in the NFL. The Lions also have one of the greatest cultures in the NFL.
And if anybody would know, you would know.
But hey, but for real, if you can play for the Chiefs, if you can thrive for the Chiefs, if you can accept a team role in which he helped Patrick Mahomes win an MVP and the Chiefs win a Super Bowl and Patrick Mahomes win a Super Bowl MVP, you can play for the Lions. And I sure as hell would feel a lot more comfortable watching Juju Smith-Schuster catch passes than Darius Fountain or rookie undrafted Isaiah Williams, or undrafted nobody Caden Davis, with all due respect. You got to an NFL camp, you've done a lot in life, but as far as opposed to Juju Smith-Schuster, I would like somebody a little bit more reliable, especially if, and this is a big knock on wood, somebody goes down due to injury. And I get it. Khalif Raymond, he's a guy that played all 17 games last year, but he was hurt for the postseason. I'm not saying it's a trend. I'm just saying it could happen. Amon-Ra St. Brown missed a game. He played through some injuries that would have kept a sane human out, but But he also missed a game.
That right there to me is when people say, hey, you know what, look at our top pass catchers. I'm like, yes, but we know that there may be a game here or there, and we don't know if that game could be in the playoffs.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like, don't you want to bolster that room? We talk about the depth everywhere else. We talk about their insulation against injury at other positions. We look at the fact right now that Emmanuel Mosley, who's having a pretty good camp, he went down, and it's sad.
Yeah.
We would have rather have him going to battle with our squad. But we also understand how deep they are in that secondary. So it's just like, you know what? Okay, but in the wide receiver room, who I saw, Dan Orlovsky, former Detroit Lion, he ranked the wide receivers of the NFC North. He ranked the Lions 4th.
You know what's funny? On surface, that sounds blasphemous, especially when you have Amon-Ra St. Brown and Sam Laporta. Those two alone should probably put you ahead of the Packers, let's just be honest. However, Jamison Williams, no matter what you think about him, has not produced in this league enough yet to get the run that he's gotten, at least yet. Khalif Raymond is a solid wide receiver 3, but his career high in receiving yards is 603. That's not bad, but then after that, you've got a lot of question marks. And I got to ask this question to just a fan. Flannel, a Chiefs fan, which I'm not, and is rooting for Lions to implode with a diva problems. Let me ask you this, just a fan, a serious question. Was Juju Smith-Schuster a diva for the Chiefs, or was he a valuable contributor to a Super Bowl winning team and one of the favorite targets of a quarterback who won an MVP that year? Answer that question. I'm not here to talk about the Steelers stuff. To me, he did a lot in reshaping his image by going to the Chiefs and doing what he did. And as I said at the beginning of this segment, last season he had a subpar year with the New England Patriots. just like every other receiver. Justin Jefferson would have trouble with that organization last year. Obviously not as much trouble as Juju Smith-Schuster did, but the point is that the Patriots offensively, especially quarterback play, were such a dumpster fire that it's hard for anybody to succeed. And Juju had some injury issues, which also means, too, Juju's depreciated right now. You could probably get him on the cheap. He's not going to demand a big contract because he just got cut by the Patriots.
And that's a factor because right now when we discuss like the different wide receiver options, the first thing that comes up is compensation.
Yes.
What draft capital are we giving up? Are we going to have to stake our future cap space to be able to make sure we can sign an Aiden Hutchinson and an Ali McNeil? Are we getting rid of those options because we're trying to lock this down? It's like when you're talking about a guy doing a Super Bowl expected window that's supposed to help bolster things for you. I don't necessarily see the issue with it. I was really willing and able to give up a third-round pick for Brandon Ayuk when we were talking about it, and it's sitting Justin to the moon, man. But it's just like I have some concerns about the wide receiver depth. Not if everyone's healthy and you go through the season, knock on wood, and everything is great, but if they need somebody to step up in a big spot, even for a series. Like, what if a wide receiver gets a helmet in the thigh in the wrong place? Are you okay with what the wide receiver group would be or tandem would be for Jared Goff at that point in time?
If there's a clean bill of health, I think that they can get it done with what they have right now. I really do.
Yeah, definitely.
But it's probably not going to be completely clean. And do I acknowledge that Amon-Ra St. Brown has been mostly healthy? Absolutely. Do I acknowledge that Khalif Raymond has been mostly healthy? Absolutely. But even those guys had some injuries last year. Khalif Raymond missed the whole postseason. And with Jamison Williams, he has not played a full season yet. We don't know if his body can withstand a full season. Do I suspect that it can? Sure, but we don't necessarily know that yet. And Juju Smith-Schuster, he's a guy who I believe no longer feels like he can be a star in this league and can accept his role. And to the people asking me, like, if he was so good, why didn't the Chiefs keep him? He served his purpose with the Chiefs. Imagine if Juju Smith-Schuster on a one-year deal helps the Lions win the Super Bowl. He's not somebody that the Chiefs necessarily needed to keep.
And that's the lens. And just to help you paint that picture a little bit better, that's the lens in which you're looking at this through. This is about this year doing everything you can to make sure you bolster your Super Bowl foundation. And that I 100% get. I want to talk about this more with Rod. I know we got him for a couple segments here. Shout out to Mike Reed. Shout out to Randall Smalls as well. They each gifted 10 Woodward Sports memberships to the chat family. Shout out to you guys. I'm hoping that people are able to benefit from that. But let's make sure we get to this next segment because I want to be able to get Rod's opinion on this as well as just his take on their first preseason game, training camp, and going into game number 2.
Absolutely. I cannot wait.
Let's rock. Let us rock.
All right. But first, we got to talk about Lady Jane's, I believe.
Oh, is it Lady Jane's? Hey, you know what? Let me tell you guys about something awesome. Awesome is when a guy can be a guy and get a haircut that is Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men. Hey, all you got to do is stop in, sit back, and relax, and let one of Lady Jane's talented hairstylists make you look and feel great. Walk in anytime, 7 days a week. Lady Jane's is wicked awesome. We made up for a stick. I did that with no script in here.
At Planet Fitness, you can get everything you need for just $1 down.
Try out Planet Fitness and dang, they got lots of equipment.
Not me getting a Planet Fitness membership just for the 24-hour perk.
Hey, y'all better get on these free fitness training sessions from Planet Fitness.
Did y'all know that the PF app has workouts you can do at home?
Cheapest therapy I can find is Planet Fitness.
Join Planet Fitness today and get everything you need for just $1 down. $15 a month, cancel anytime. Deal ends Thursday, July 18th.
A network for the city, by the city. Woodward Sports is Detroit Sports.
The Great American Chevy Week is back and bigger than ever at Feldman Chevrolet. Choose from the largest inventory of award-winning Chevys, all priced to move for the biggest week of the year. Get this 2024 Silverado for only $213 a month, or this 2024 Equinox for as low as $249 a month. Feldman takes the Great American Chevy Week to another level. Feldman Chevrolet, Michigan's #1 Chevy dealer.
The countdown to kickoff is here. Your Detroit Lions are ready for another season of grit. Woodward Sports is your #1 destination for all breaking news and Lions coverage. We are Detroit's #1 sports network. We are Woodward Sports.
Braylon Edwards here, Premier Pet Supply. Man, just looking around, who's got it better than pets? Come on, a baby stroller for Coda? A chef for Lola, really? You don't have to tell me who the real boss here is. Who's got it better than pets? Nobody, especially here at Premier Pet Supply. For over 30 years and more than 13 locations, Premier Pet Supply has everything that your pet can dream of, and guess what? It's all under one roof. Premier Pet Supply, family owned, operated, and proud to call Metro Detroit home. Check out premierpetsupply.com or scan the QR code today. Who's got it better than pets?
Nobody!
We don't like to brag that we are the toughest sports network in Detroit, but we do have a guy named Darren McCarthy on our side.
LaView and McCarthy, who've had a good knockdown drag up. There they go, right on the whistle. They were talking to one another.
Woodward Sports.
Dealing with divorce, child custody, visitation, or other family law issues, Kevin and Catherine at KDK Law in Birmingham will have your back. With 10-plus years of experience and 24/7 availability, scan the QR code on the screen or call 248-971-0476. Say Woodward Sports sent you and KDK will pay your filing fee. KDK Law, they've got your back.
Hey, KDK Law got your back. Woodward Sports, Wake Up Woodward got your back. Chat family, I hope you guys have ours and just smashing the like button, sharing the stream, engaging in the chat as well. Hey, you guys are one of the best. We are live at Feldman of Novi. It is Michigan's #1 Chevy dealership. I don't know. Hey, you can speak personally to it. You told the people a little bit about your story earlier, but just real quick, Feldman Chevrolet, 5 stars?
5
stars.
If you could give it 6 stars, I'd give it 6 stars.
Let's rock,
Would
man.
recommend. Matt Broder, too, by the way.
Shout out to Matt Broder, man. Our credentialed Tigers, our Lions reporter, writer for the network. We love you, brother. Can't wait to get you back with the WUW Crew. We got everybody else with us. That dude, Justin, KG, JB Smooth, and Stick is in the building as well. You see him in the chat causing havoc. But, hey, you know, we're talking the Detroit Lions and the fact that realistically, a lot of the conversation should always be had through the lens of Super Bowl expectation, which, you know, I know we're going to get Rod on soon. And that's one of the questions I want to be able to ask him. And hopefully we can kind of start that deliberation as well. It's like, this is the first season in which any of us have ever sat down, looked at the Detroit Lions, and knew without a shadow of a doubt Super Bowl expectation. Last year, everyone was saying, hey, listen, win the division, win a home playoff game. But this is the first season I can – was there ever another season?
No.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Everything is through that lens. You know, and so it's like in a normal year, would I just be looking at a Juju? I don't know. Maybe I'm looking to try and figure out what these younger wide receivers are, like Isaiah Williams. Maybe I'm taking that path if this was last season or maybe even the year before. But when you're sitting here right now, knowing how fragile this thing is, this opportunity to not just play for but win a Super Bowl, because we saw a lot of teams' hearts broken during this playoff run. A lot of teams. The Rams, like, there was no game other than I think the Packers and the Cowboys where I was just like, yo, that is absolutely lopsided. Their fans knew this thing was over from the get-go. Even the 49ers fans when the Lions went up early, they still weren't heartbroken. They knew, you know what, we got a great opportunity to come back.
It's funny, too, and I know we've talked about it a lot. we're talking about Juju Smith-Schuster as a potential wide receiver 3 or 4. I gave you the caveat that if there's a fully healthy wide receiver core, I'm still confident that this Lions team can achieve all of their goals. We've talked about things like backup offensive linemen, like they don't have the best offensive line in the NFL when they're fully healthy, and a couple of backups in Coyote and a Dan Skipper that I trust to at least fill in roles in a pinch. We're talking about the secondary as far as secondary depth, and that maybe we have a promising rookie, but you also got a guy like a Meek Robertson who can play nickel or outside. We've got Ennis Rakestraw, who's a depth piece. We've got a damn good safety room. We're talking about, on the initial depth chart, having Ife Melifomu as a backup. And that guy had a great season last year, and down the stretch was just making splash play after splash play in terms of sack and interceptions. He was a demon. So these are problems that Super Bowl teams have, like these ancillary pieces.
Exactly. The ways that you kind of put the microscope on your team, and you're even trying to trajectorize what could be the issue so that you can make sure that you're better insulated. Even maybe carrying a little bit of cap space and a little bit of capital into the season so that you can have the flexibility at the trade deadline to do what you got to do. We're good? Oh, okay. Okay, because I want to get Rod Beard on. You're talking about the sports editor-in-chief for the Detroit News. He's seen a lot of Detroit Lions football, but this is the first time as a professional he gets to see them through the lens of Super Bowl expectation.
Oh, I can't wait. It's something that I think all of us who have been in – some of us who have been in Detroit sports media for not a long time, but a guy like Rod Beard who has been in it forever, he's probably adjusting a little bit himself because it's certainly a great problem to have, though. I will just say that.
Yeah, definitely. Hey, you know what? Hey, let's get Rod Beard on now. I think we have him. You with us, brother?
Gentlemen, good morning.
Hey, good morning. We hear you loud and clear. Detroit News sports editor-in-chief, it is Rod Beard on with us, the legend. Welcome to the show, brother. We are live at Feldman of Novi, and we're discussing the Detroit Lions, and we've been probably hypercritical. I don't know if it's just because football season is just back, like even since the first preseason game, breaking down backup quarterbacks and wide receiver 3s, 4s, and 10s, bro. But we're sitting here trying to figure out the best way to bolster this Lions team, because it's the first time, and I know you professionally, it's the first time we're looking at the squad with legitimate Super Bowl contention on the line here. You know, and so we were discussing a wide receiver 3 option as it relates to Juju being a Detroit Lion. But just overall, with your kind of experience professionally, how is it kind of entering this Lions season with those expectations on the line?
I'll go back and say again, I don't have high expectations for this team. And that's, again, because we've been hurt before. We've seen this movie before where you have a 9-7 season and then you come back the next year waiting for, okay, well, let's get to 11-5 in the 16-game era. But now it's just you don't have to say Super Bowl or bust. This can just be another trip to the NFC Championship game, and that will be good enough for me because it says this is real, this is legitimate. This is not – last year was not a fluke and a flash in the pan. I just want to see that they have championship aspirations and they can get back to the championship game again, and that's good enough. But as far as looking at improving the team, it really is – you can do it on the edge. If we're talking about wide receiver 3 as the position that you're trying to improve or backup quarterback, you're doing pretty good. You're in a good spot that it's not your starting receiver or your starting running back and you have big questions about any of that stuff. And judging this stuff by the preseason is really, really tough because you're not looking at starters. You're not looking at guys who are going to play a ton. And so you can break all of those things down and say where the weaknesses are. But until you see starters on the field, all of this is just a mental exercise. It's just trying to figure out what's.
Hello?
Oh,
yeah.
Hey, Rod. So let me ask you this, because I pounded the table a bit for Juju Smith-Schuster, although I'm not saying it's the end-all, be-all, but I think it's important. Is Juju Smith-Schuster somebody that you think moves the needle for the Lions or for your outlook on the Lions?
I think it would, and you've got to look at what you can possibly get from Donovan Peoples-Jones. Is he going to be a significant enough contributor to handle that wide receiver 3 position? Or do you believe in Khalif Raymond enough that he's going to be that guy too? I think those are the big questions you have to ask. Adding another guy, and I know these guys are Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell are big on culture. Does Juju Smith-Schuster change the culture, or does he do something else? It's not about getting better players right now. It's not upsetting the balance that you have in that locker room right now.
Yeah, and with the Detroit Lions, they did just sign Jake Fromm, backup quarterback. Hendon Hooker, man, I thought he showed some really good flashes that actually make me comfortable with quarterback 2. You don't want to see Jared Goff get hurt at all. And obviously the Super Bowl window, it depends on that. But sometimes you might need a quarterback to step up for a series or maybe for a game. Is it too much of a big deal for concern with that backup quarterback position? And I did want your thoughts as well on at least a little bit of what you've seen and heard about Hendon Hooker.
I liked what I saw in the first the kind of series that he played, Series Plus that he played, the ability to scramble. You just want to see confidence and confidence in what they're doing. Does he feel good about his throws? Even if it's off a little bit, did he throw it with confidence? Did he step up in the pocket and have that pocket presence? Is what I want to see. I'm not worried about the backup role or the third quarterback role. If Jared Goff is hurt, you're probably not going to the Super Bowl or the NFC. That just is what it is. So I think that's just another mental exercise to say, let's worry about the backup quarterback. For where the Lions are and what they're trying to do this year, if they do not have Jared Goff, it's just not going to happen. And it doesn't even matter after that.
Hey, good morning, Rod. And I wanted to ask you about the injury bug that's clearly going around this team right now. You had the injuries to Terrion and Rakestraw. I wanted to ask you there, are you worried about those injuries at all, and should we see them any more this preseason? And as far as Jahmyr Gibbs, he's dealing with a hamstring. We all know the deal with hamstrings. Sometimes it could be a shorter-term injury, but it can be something that lingers as well. Are you worried about Gibbs at all for the upcoming season?
No, and I think we talked about this last week. That's why you go out and draft multiple cornerbacks. So when you have the injury issues, and it's when you have injury issues, not if. When you have that, you have a little bit of depth to absorb it. Now, that's one where you can say a game or two, if a guy is dealing with a hamstring, that might be kind of back and forth or day to day or game to game. Those types of issues, I think, are a little bit concerning, but that's why you have a Montgomery and a Gibbs, and you have some other options there. Avaki might be able to step in and do something for you. You look at those as depth things, and you build the depth around that, preparing for those types of injuries.
Man, hey, listen, Rod, I'm glad we have you on. We're going to get you on for the next segment as well. J.B. Bickerstaff, he had a pretty extensive interview with Richard Jefferson. It was pretty detailed, man. I took some notes. Want to be able to talk about it with you because it gave us clear-cut direction on if he wants to be here, what his plan and his expectations and goals are, who's running Detroit Pistons front office, and the only young players I heard him mention several times, Cade Cunningham and Jalen Duren. I wanted to be able to get your thoughts on some of these things. And as he praised Jalen Duren, I wonder if one of these comments inadvertently put another Pistons big down. So, hey, listen, I can't wait to get into it. One thing I want to see out of Jalen Duren, though, I want to see his defense improve.
Absolutely.
But I can tell you where you guys can go to get the best defense, that is Guardian Alarm. Let them offer you customized solutions from real experts. Our professional technicians, they take the time to recommend security and automation solutions specific to your needs. It's 24/7 professional monitoring. So you can call us anytime, day or night, and know that a Guardian team member will stay on the phone with you as long as needed because it is technology that's been backed by people. Your safety and security, it deserves technology. It's been proven to work. And people have been proven to care. All you got to do is call this number right here, 1-800-STAY-OUT. Once again, that number, 1-800-STAY-OUT.
The Great American Chevy Week is back and bigger than ever at Feldman Chevrolet. Choose from the largest inventory of award-winning Chevys, all priced to move for the biggest week of the year. Get this 2024 Silverado for only $213 a month, or this 2024 Equinox for as low as $249 a month. Feldman takes the Great American Chevy Week to another level. Feldman Chevrolet, Michigan's #1 Chevy dealer.
The Ally Challenge presented by McLaren is back August 22nd through 25th at Warwick Hills and Grand Blanc. Be there for PGA Tour Champions Golf, Family Night, concerts, and more. Tickets start at just $15. Get yours at allychallenge.com today.
Thank you to the Detroit Lions and Sheila Ham for the best season in Lions history. Now it's time to let Brad Holmes cook. Woodward Sports.
At Planet Fitness, you can get everything you need for just $1 down.
Try out Planet Fitness and dang, they got lots of equipment.
Not me getting a Planet Fitness membership just for the 24-hour perk.
Hey, y'all better get on these free fitness training sessions from Planet Fitness.
Did y'all know that the PF app has workouts you can do at home?
Cheapest therapy I can find is Planet Fitness.
Join Planet Fitness today and get everything you need for just $1 down. $15 a month, cancel anytime. Deal ends Thursday, July 18th.
Now more than ever, it is critical for you to have your insurance reviewed. Swiss Insurance will make sure your current carrier is not slipping in any extra fees or raising any deductibles. I see you over there, JB Smooth. All you got to do, though, call Mark at Swiss Insurance today, 313-530-1698. Y'all are fools. Visit them online, SwissINS.com, and let them know Woodward Sports sent you.
And listen, man, that Tigers ALCS shirt, it's getting a little dusty, man. I think it's time for you to get some new merch. You deserve some new merch. So go to woodwardsports.com and click shop today. We got hoodies, tees, hats, pretty much anything, man, to get you fresh, get you right for the games coming up. Get the latest designs today at woodwardsports.com and click that shop tab.
And we are back. It is Wake Up Woodward. Thank you guys for choosing to kick off today with the WUW Crew. Shout out to our brother Broder. He will be back with us tomorrow. We got that dude Justin here. Intern Chase will be back soon as well. We got KG on the soundboard. Woodward Sports MVP, JB Smooth running TD. The vet of the network, Flannel Sam. It's your boy Brandon, a.k.a. Detroit Kool-Aid, your credentialed Pistons reporter and writer for the network. And we got the legend on the line, and it is time for our Woodward Pistons segment. So you guys already know we got to get the drum roll going. Let's rock. Hey, yo. Shout out and welcome to the legend, Detroit News, Rod Beard. Brother, as always, how are you doing? And take it away with Rod's thoughts.
Olympics, man. Wardell Stephen Curry.
Yes.
Oh,
Build that
Chef
man
Curry,
a statue somewhere.
In fuego.
That dude, that last 3 minutes of the gold medal game was some of the most exciting kind of shot making that you want to see. And in a scenario where you got KD on the court and Bron on the court, it was just good to see that those guys could figure out who the hot hand was. And for people who want to talk about anything else, real basketball players know who the hot hand is. Get it to that man and let him cook. And the last one that he hit, the fadeaway going to his right,
it's crazy.
Is like who even attempts it? I know who attempts that shot, but it was insane. But that was just exciting basketball to watch, to see that they were able to figure it out. And I think last week we talked about it. I was saying, hey, they haven't had to lean on one guy to be that dude. And in different games, they've had to do that, where Bron was a guy, Book was a guy, Steph has done it twice in this tournament. So I think sometimes you just have to figure that stuff out. And they got challenged, they got pushed to the brink, but they were able to get out with the gold medal in a very, very exciting performance.
And Ryan, I'm glad you brought up the Olympics. It's been a topic of discussion on some of the shows on this network. Do you agree with LeBron getting the Olympics MVP award in the medal game? Some people, the LeBron haters, they are absolutely outraged. A lot of people felt that Steph should have got it because of his performance in that said game. What say you?
I mean, I can see Steph. I would probably have given it to Steph because what he did in that game, and there was another game where he had like 36 or something. But Bron was steady. He had the triple-double. He didn't have to have a game where he had 30, but he did the other stuff. He filled in where he needed to be a complete basketball player. I think it should have been Steph, but I'm not going to complain about Bron getting it.
So you're telling me that Steph got Andre Iguodala again, huh? But I agree, man. Steph, and it's awesome to see these guys work, and you could tell when they're just kind of in just ball mode, where it has nothing to do with like set plays or scripted plays. And when you got the best players in the world, Lindsey Hunter was talking about this, you know that you can rely on when that basketball instinct just takes over, where the egos have just gone away, because it's just beautiful basketball and its poetry and motion. And man, I'm going to be for real with you. One of the things that I've loved seeing in basketball the most over the last few years, and we know it wasn't Pistons basketball, which we'll get into, but it was Steph and LeBron two-man game.
That pick and pop, man, a thing of beauty.
Oh, my God.
Imagine if they played together.
KG.
I'm just saying, imagine if they played together. It'd be unreal.
It was beautiful, man. And it's you're talking about two high IQ players and two players. Like, and when you mix that with a player of Steph's kind of just, he's elite. Is he going to miss? No, probably not. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's all LeBron James needs as the type of facilitator and connector he is. And, man, we got to get into this Pistons conversation unless you had anything else on the Olympics, Rod.
I mean, has LeBron really ever been with a shooter?
He hasn't.
Hey,
not one of Steph's level.
Boobie Gibson, I will never forget it.
Boobie Gibson.
But other than that, probably not.
He's had D Wade. He's had other all-star players, but he's never had a shooter like that. And I mean, Steph is one of one. We know that. But just to see that, and the last point I was going to make is, I think KD said in those last few minutes, they weren't even calling plays. They were just, we coming down and we're going to figure it out. We know what we do. We got the players. And again, in those last 4 minutes, it was KD up top. Like, for real, KD, that team was silly. And even if you were going weak side, you got Book on that weak side. So in terms of the talent and what they were able to do, that was just impressive to watch.
It was cool to see the chemistry just grow. And in the ways that when the stakes raised, you could tell the egos just went away. And those guys were just like, well, feed the hot hand. And it's kind of cool because you can kind of tell, like, what the respects are. When it was KD
the ego
time,
went away. The ego went away
time.
for people. The ego went away for people not named Jason Tatum, allegedly.
Yeah. Good point, Rod.
Well, you know what? Somebody who absolutely excites me, and I don't get any sense of ego, is J.B. Bickerstaff. The more I hear this guy talk, Rod, the more I'm like, yo, let me go and get in shape. I want to go hoop again because this guy sounds like a coach. And he said some stuff in this interview with Richard Jefferson that really had my ears perked up, because it's some of the questions we've had, and we got some of those answers at his introductory press conference. But, did anybody get a chance? Did you get a chance to see that interview, Rod? Because I took some thorough notes here, man. I got some notes. I'm going to be able to run through them as fast as possible. But starting with, you got to start at the top. His decision for wanting to be here and whose front office this was, man. And that, to me, it was like music to my ears. It was what ultimately attracted him here to the situation. I know that some people thought he wanted to take a year off, and he said there was no opportunity, but that there is this drive inside of him to be a competitor that just doesn't go away, and that his family supports that. Like, his wife supports that. They told this story about how much this means to him and how much he buys into each organization that he's been a part of, to the point that RJ was trying to push him on giving some, hey, talk about some of your accomplishments in the past. Yeah, I'm in Detroit. Yeah, but you've done. He's like, look, bro, I'm literally in Detroit. That was somewhere else. I don't even want to mention it. And he pushed him, and he eventually talked about some of these things because it showed the foundation of who J.B. Bickerstaff has been as a coach, at least recently. Started with the Cleveland Cavaliers, 19 games, young team, influx. Some people thought their roster was probably a mismatch, and we know just the leaps and bounds that they took and the growth that they got, that they made in his tenure there. And now he's here with the Detroit Pistons. I just wanted your quick takeaways, because I know you've gotten some opportunity to speak with J.B. Bickerstaff as well, Rod, just on J.B. Bickerstaff.
Yeah, I think he's a seasoned enough coach, and in the previous iterations, we were talking about, well, maybe they were getting an assistant coach that would get a good chance here. This is a roster that you need a guy who has some experience in putting together these kinds of rebuilds. And not to say the assistants didn't, but we've seen it with JB, and we know what he can bring and the expertise with that. But it's just, I want somebody who's managed a roster, who's been through some of this stuff. Cleveland is a good example of that, who's worked with a young big, like an Evan Mobley, that can pair that together, and a playmaker now with Cade Cunningham, you can piece all that stuff together, and it's not theoretical. It's something you've done in the past. So I think that's the biggest key here.
Yep, and I'm going to get into the players as well, but just really quick to kind of wrap up what was going on at the top. He did say that Trajan Langdon impressed him early on as they discussed the possibility of him becoming the next Pistons coach. He said he was confident, this is the quote, that he was going to lead us and help us build something special. You know that Trajan has a plan, and he's confident in it, and he gave us confidence in that plan. He can execute the vision, which gave him comfort, J.B. Bickerstaff comfort, with the other front office personnel. He named each one of them as well. And he said that these guys have respect around the league, which prompted Richard Jefferson to say, whoa, like, yeah, Trajan Langdon is a beast. Trajan Langdon has been grinding and building up to this point for over a decade, and he's commanded the respect of his peers and others in the league. And the sense that I got from that portion of the interview was that this is completely Trajan Langdon's front office and nobody else's, which means you're going to have that one voice, that one direction. And JB said that if he was going to coach, this was something that was important to him. He also said it was a total no-brainer when Tom Gores told him that he was willing to do whatever to make this thing successful. And then, obviously, he said he looked at the roster and the young talent, and it just made him feel comfortable. He says that rebuilding and helping young guys develop is one of his strengths, which we kind of saw a little bit of when he was in Cleveland. At least from your perspective with J.B. Bickerstaff, this thing seems night and day between Monty Williams, who came in here and literally at the first training camp said, this young roster is not something he's used to coaching up. And you got J.B. Bickerstaff here saying, no, this excites me. This is what I do. This is my reputation around the league. Just how much of a difference does wanting to be here and wanting this roster, wanting this opportunity, how much of a difference do you think that makes for the Detroit Pistons this year?
No, it's going to make a difference in how he coaches and the enthusiasm that he brings every day to the gym, that you understand the situation. And coming away from Phoenix, Monty was just sort of the expectations were already high because of his reputation. And we've talked about his personal situation coming into this, that he didn't really want to coach. He had to be convinced to coach. Mm-hmm. And I don't think you had to convince JB to come in here and do that. He's going to run through a wall, and he's going to be ready on day one to be able to do what he needs to do to turn this team around. So I think that's going to be the big difference is the attitude, what he brings, knowing what type of work ethic is required to turn something around quickly. Those types of things are going to matter very, very immediately in what they're trying to do.
Yeah, and he did say that he's someone who cares deeply about the job that he's going to do. He cares deeply about the people he works with every day as well. He has some personal connections as well. So he doesn't take lightly being the head coach of the Detroit Pistons. He's going to do whatever he can to make it successful. He said this year the expectations, though, are about developing an identity. He doesn't want to take any shortcuts. And I know that this is the stuff that you're always going to hear. And we heard that some of the similar things out of the Troy Weaver era as well. He did mention making sure that defense and teamwork and taking cues from how the bad boys and the going to work teams did it. He said that that's going to be the foundation of what he is, but he wants to be truly elite defensively, and he wants to have that blue-collar and selfless attitude be the definition of his team, and that's where we get into kind of the player aspect of it. He says it's about patience with a lot of the young guys and getting this thing to the top. And that's when he referenced as well, starting off in Cleveland, where they started with 19 games, and now you look at the Cleveland situation, and they're in a pretty good spot. But he talked about having the vets on this team and the vets that will play. And he mentioned Tobias Harris being a really, really, really good player. Richard Jefferson also stated that he believes Tobias is going to contribute greatly to this Detroit Pistons team. And I think that he might be a little underrated here in Detroit, Rod.
Yeah, but it's just what do you need him to do? And if this roster can gel and be a little cohesive, you might not need Tobias to be a 25 a night scorer.
Right.
You can balance that out with having Cade get more to his level, setting up Tobias, setting up Malik Beasley, setting up some of the other pieces that they're bringing in. And I think the youth piece is a critical part of that, too, is that you're not looking for your young guys to be the leaders and the leading scorers and to do everything in their first and second year. That's been what's hamstrung this franchise for the past few years is now we said it, they have to go and get veterans in free agency. They went out and did that. Now, how does this thing gel and come together? Cade is your face of your franchise, and he's going to have to do a lot of it. But now you have some other veterans who can carry the flag for you.
Yeah, that's such a perfect transition because I was going to share JB's exact quote on who Tobias Harris is. You got to think about it. This is a guy who's been coaching in the league against Tobias Harris for a long time. So when he does speak, that carries some weight. He says that, it's who you add. And Tobias was the perfect piece for us. He says, I give Trajan a ton of credit for getting it done. Tobias is a great human being. The character of the voice of the player using it is what matters. Young guys are more willing to listen to him. And he said, and he still plays too. And so when he said that, I instantly thought about Taj Gibson, who, though his voice was great, he wasn't someone out there on the court. So how is he going to show you how to do everything? He can give you great advice and motivate you, but Tobias, he said, is a guy who's still going to give people buckets in the fourth quarter, still going to give you some defense, still going to give you, like you said, some consistent play and be able to show the guys how to do this. And Richard Jefferson mentioned the fact that young players, they don't know how to manage the emotional roller coaster of the NBA. He said, old guys, vets, we just get grumpy, but we know how to play through it. And he said that's something that Tobias, as well as the other vets, is going to help this young team with immensely, especially Cade Cunningham.
Yeah, I mean, it's vets know what it feels like to be tired of losing. Cade has lost a lot, but I don't know if he's tired of losing the same way that a 10-year vet is going to be. So that's your Tim Hardaway. That's your Tobias Harris. Those guys understand what it is year to year that you get in the playoffs and what it takes to get in the playoffs, but the work ethic that you have to have every day when you go in the gym and the personality. I think Tobias is going to be very, very good for Cade because they're similar in a lot of ways in their humility and the way that they go about stuff and their hunger to win. But I think all of this is going to come together. And again, I don't want to put numbers on this. If they win 30 games, I'm very happy, and I call it a successful season. But you've got to look at what it looks like on the court. It's the eye test that tells you what this is.
Yep, and just to kind of round this thing out, he talked about Cade Cunningham and Jalen Duren, what he thought of them as players. He did say that he believes both of those guys have superstar potential, but ultimately he wants to get the team to kind of that star status that the Going to Work Pistons as a team achieved, though nobody would call them individually superstars. And it was interesting because Richard Jefferson and J.B. Bickerstaff instantly looked at each other and were like, but there were some superstars. There were some stars. Like, it's cool to see that the guys in the league knew what that Going to Work Pistons team was. But on Cade Cunningham, real quick, he said Cade's size and ability to get to a spot and never get sped up and be even killed through the situations is something that makes him a good leader. He said he's the guy you can tell his teammates just want to be around because he has the ability to make them better. With his size, you can play him at 3 different positions, and he can make plays and create his own shot in the fourth quarter as well. That playing at 3 different positions and being that connector, Rod, that makes my ears perk up a little bit.
Yeah, because it tells you that what his rep is around the league, because a lot of people haven't seen him a lot or played against him a lot. But JB knows, and everybody knows what Cade's, and as much as people want to criticize Cade for not being able to do whatever, you got to look at the injury history, and you got to look at what he's done in college and what his resume is. Like, this is what this dude does. So if you're looking at critical fourth quarter possessions, you don't automatically have to go to Tobias because you don't have any other option. You know Cade is your guy, and he can get the job done there. So I think this is all a good read and a good understanding of what your roster is, and that's what you want to hear from a coach, is understanding what your guys' strengths are and how you're going to utilize them.
Bro, like, think about it. You talking about Cade Cunningham in the fourth quarter, pick and rolls with Jalen Duren. You got Tobias on one wing. You got Fontecchio on another wing. That sounds a lot better than what they've had in the past. And you know that those guys have a great opportunity to actually be there in the court rather than being hobbled. Like, we knew Bojan was going to be a flamethrower. We knew Alec Burks was going to be a flamethrower, but were they going to play? And on Jalen Duren, before we wrap up this segment, he said that he's tall and built different, not just undersized. And my mind instantly went to Isaiah Stewart. I know that he probably did not mean to to make that assertion, but I do like the fact that J.B. Bickerstaff wants his big men to be taller, to have the size. It's the thing that I believe keeps Isaiah Stewart, for me, from being a surefire, bona fide starter, though I love everything else he brings to the table. But furthermore, with Jalen Duren, he says that there's a whole lot more there. He's really ball skilled, and we don't see a lot of it. We haven't seen a lot of it in the past. Now, you know that when we're at the practices, we see Jalen Duren working on those ball skills, handling, dribbling, and doing some pretty cool things as it relates to being the versatile player that they mentioned he could be on draft night. And he said he can rebound the ball well, push in transition, makes plays in transition well as also on Jalen Duren.
And he's 20. He's 20. He still hasn't figured out what he is just yet and how to be the best version of that. When he gets 22, 25, and we start talking about that, and he's improved incrementally over those years, then we know what he can be. And I don't want to bring up the Andre Drummond sort of thing, but that's sort of what you looked at with Drummond is he didn't figure it out for a couple of years. He became a very good rebounder, but he had to figure some other things out. And about being a big in the NBA, that's one of the harder positions to figure it out.
Yep. And just to wrap this thing up, J.B. Bickerstaff and Richard Jefferson, they both gave their impression of Detroit and their opinion on the city. J.B. Bickerstaff said, man, there's so much more about Detroit than people know about. And this got me fired up. He said people love to spread the negative, but Detroit is an awesome city. We're looking forward to being part of it. And he talked about the charitable contributions they want to do, and just how they love to make sure that whatever city they're in, that they're fully a part of it. And Richard Jefferson, he said that the Detroit Pistons at the Palace of Auburn Hills during the Going to Work era were a top 5 crowd of all time for his. Top 5. Yo, shout out to you guys, man. That was an epic one. He was like, bro, you couldn't go in. If you went in there, you knew it was going to be sold out for like 8 years straight. He said Detroit never turns on their team. He said Knicks fans do. Philly fans do. He said, I know it's a tough stretch, but he was like, man, Piston fans. He said they're always in there supporting their team. And I'm like, but you guys are not that good. But you know what? Hey, it's the heart of Detroit. I see you back there, Stick. He said it always stuck with me that Detroit and their fan base, they care. They really care deeply about their team. He said their love for the Pistons, it's intense. Richard Jefferson. He said, bro, I played them in the heat of the battle. He was on the Nets. He was like, I played them in the heat of the battle, bro. And so he was like, look, those guys, it stuck with me forever. He also talked about Anson's story, too. But, Rod, any last words on that?
No, I think that's why there's a Pistons podcast, because it is the fan base and their energy about the Pistons. And when they're not good, we know they're not good. We're not trying to pump them up and make them be something that they're not. We all recognize that. But my slant has always been, let's figure out what they need to do in order to get better. And you mentioned Tom Gores earlier and what that is. He does everything that you want him to do as an owner. Is it the right thing? No, but you're going to make mistakes and stuff that you do. Sometimes, even as an owner. Does Jerry Jones have it figured out? Did Mark Cuban have it figured out? No, they don't. So even the people that they say the Pistons should be like or sell the team to this person, it's not necessarily going to be that. Gores does what he needs to do. They have the facilities. The coaches know it when they come in. The front office people have said it in every single introductory press conference that they have that support and they understand that. So fans, it's going to take some time, but we're all looking to try to get this right.
That's well stated and well said, man. You know what? We're going to get into more of Jalen Duren, his breakdown next week. I am going to be able to talk to Ron Holland today at the Pistons Academy event. And hopefully when we talk to J.B. Bickerstaff, we get more insight on these young players. Like, I'm very curious on Jaden Ivey, the potential fit, as well as Asar Thompson. I am really, really curious. But, Rod, as always, thank you for your time, brother, giving us your look on the Detroit sports scene in general, as well as the Woodward Pistons podcast. I appreciate you, brother.
Yeah, and it's Beat Writer Christmas tomorrow. NBA schedule release tomorrow.
Hey,
okay.
Thank you, Rod.
Yep,
thanks, Rod.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. All right, bye.
Hey, peace out. Hey, the legend as always, Rob Beard, Detroit News Sports Editor-in-Chief. It's always a good time having him on. And you know what? J.B. Bickerstaff, he has me a lot more bricked up than Monty Williams did at the beginning of the season. A lot more.
No question about it. It's like night and day.
Night and day. Oh man, who we gotta talk about? Mark White?
Absolutely.
That's
Dreaming of a new home but feeling the financial pinch? Mark White & Associates, your trusted real estate experts, are here to help. Mark White and his team will pay up to $5,000 of your closing costs. That's right. I said $5,000.
$5,000?
Absolutely, KG. Call Mark White & Associates today at 248-290-8242 or visit them at markwhitesells.com. Again, call Mark White today at 248-290-8242 to make your dreams come true.
The Great American Chevy Week is back and bigger than ever at Feldman Chevrolet. Choose from the largest inventory of award-winning Chevys, all priced to move for the biggest week of the year. Get this 2024 Silverado for only $213 a month, or this 2024 Equinox for as low as $249 a month. Feldman takes the Great American Chevy Week to another level. Feldman Chevrolet, Michigan's #1 Chevy dealer.
It's bear hunting season, and Dan Campbell is hungry for some kneecaps.
If you can just get a hold of them and you start dragging their ass out to the deep, dark abyss, you can drown them.
The Kings of the North are back for another year of the brand new Lions. Make sure you're locked in to Detroit's #1 sports network for all the news and info on your Detroit Lions.
Woodward Sports, let's go.
The Ally Challenge presented by McLaren is back August 22nd through 25th at Warwick Hills and Grand Blanc. Be there for PGA Tour Champions Golf, Family Night, concerts, and more. Tickets start at just $15. Get yours at allychallenge.com today.
Come to any Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men and claim your throne for a king's treatment from one of our talented stylists. Open 7 days a week. Walk in anytime. Just get to a Lady Jane's today and receive a precision haircut, scalp massage, hot lather neck shave, and a hot towel treatment. A haircut should not be a chore. It should be an experience. And that's exactly what Lady Jane's has to offer. Open 7 days a week. Walk-ins are always welcome. There's always a location near you. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men. It's wicked awesome.
Thank you to all the fans for making Woodward Sports your #1 online destination for Detroit sports. We promise not to drop the ball.
We did merch already. It was for Soroki's. Hey, but let me tell the good people about Soroki's crispy chicken and pizza, and you should just throw biscuits on that title too, because I mean that's really the star of the show, man. I love them biscuits, but known for their quality hand batter and hand breaded chicken tender sandwiches and New York style pizza. Can't talk. Locations are popping up all over Metro Detroit, doubling the number of restaurants this year. Soroki's just had their grand open in Madison Heights, so make sure you're stopping out there, and be sure to stop in and try any mega store near you. Go to Sorokis.com.
What up, though, people? And we are back as Wake Up Woodward. Thank you guys for choosing to kick off today with the WUW Crew. We got everybody here except for Matthew Broder, our brother. We love you, man. Our credentialed Tigers reporter and our Lions reporter for the network. We got everybody else. That dude, Justin. Oh, intern Chase.
Yes, sir.
Can't wait
Shout
to
him
get
out.
him back as
Safe
well.
travels.
Shout
man.
out to him. Safe travels. But we got KG, Detroit's #1 draft pick, running sounds. JB Smooth in the TD space. We got Flannel Sam, the vet of the network, and your boy Brandon, a.k.a. Detroit Kool-Aid. And we got some more Detroit Lions to talk about. And I know, KG, you said there's some news.
Yeah. While we were on with Rye, we had some injury update news coming, cited from Will Birchfield on Twitter. But per Dan Campbell, Gibbs and Arnold, I think we're going to be fine here. I think we'll be good. Carlton Davis III, he's got this hammy he's dealing with, but he'll be fine. Hendon Hooker, a good chance he plays Saturday. Can't say absolutely yes, but he's trending in the right way. And he also spoke on Jahmyr Gibbs and said that Jahmyr Gibbs will be fine going into the season.
Ooh.
So a little sigh of relief for everybody.
Hey, we've been saying, hey, listen, game 1, everybody be healthy. That's what we're gonna worry about best. Obviously, training camp, where you want to see these types of bumps, bruises, and potentially injuries, is at the beginning of it.
Yeah, and with. You know what's funny too is, and I'll be honest, I may have been guilty of this as well. When you hear Hendon Hooker in concussion, you panic a little bit.
A little bit.
A little bit, especially with how serious head injuries are taken, as they should. Sometimes those little ones, they can even keep you out for a while. But hearing that there's even a chance that Hendon Hooker plays in the second preseason game, I mean, it was probably always minor and precautionary all along.
Hey, and I'll see that and raise you. He's playing in 11-on-11 drills right now.
Well, there you go.
Dope. Hey, And it's good prospects. You were talking about a little bit of freaking out. We were just discussing, what do we need to do for backup quarterback?
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden.
Stressed out, man.
We were stressing, man. We were stressed out, bro. We were sitting here like, who's going to be our quarterback? We got Nate Sudfeld for the entire. I don't know. When we were talking about the prospects of Nate Sudfeld playing the entire preseason game 2, I saw a little bit of concern on all of our faces.
Nah, I mean, me personally anyway, I was never really worried. Like I said, I think they feel enough to where they feel Hendon Hooker is the number 2. It was only a concussion. I can see if it was something more serious than that. But Jake Fromm, they're not going to let their season be in the hands of somebody that hasn't really played the NFL down, really. So, Hendon Hooker was always going to be the plan. I understand Nate Sudfeld. We don't really want to see him. But, Broder always brings up the fact that they love the fact that he holds the clipboard, that he communicates with Goff really well. He shows them the things that he sees, and they seem to agree on a lot of stuff. So that's why he's in this locker room, not necessarily because of his play.
Anything to keep the mojo right with these Detroit Lions, I am all for it. And Hendon Hooker, man, that's the one that I'm really impressed with because he showed toughness to me in that game. And I know it's just a preseason game. I know it's against some of the backups and such, but he showed some toughness.
Hey, and you the Pistons guy in here. Trajan Langdon and J.B. Bickerstaff are at Lions practice.
Hey.
Yeah.
That's what's up.
This all seems like good news. If there's one thing that gives me a slight cause for pause, even though Dan Campbell said that he would be okay, it's probably the Carlton Davis thing. The Carlton Davis little nagging hamstring on top of Emmanuel Mosley being out with a torn pec. With Carlton Davis, he's missed 16 games combined in the last 3 years. I don't want to keep saying it like it's a badge for him or something, but that's a lot of games. And that's the reason why if you get a Carlton Davis, it also behooves you to sign Amik Robertson as well and draft 2 corners so you have all the insurance in the world. And even have a guy like Kendall Vildor to be like the backup to the backup. But that's the thing. With Carlton Davis, you can almost pencil in at least 3 or 4 games in which he's not going to play. And that's just something we should be mindful of and monitor. But if Dan Campbell says it's not anything in jeopardy of keeping him out of week 1, I will just chalk that up to out of sight and out of mind until it affects the Lions in a real game, especially since he's a veteran player who I don't think he probably knows what he needs to do to get himself ready.
Yep. And clearly, Brad Holmes, he went to try and stock this secondary in the offseason. And at first, people were like, hey, you got Terran Arnold. Okay. Hey, you got Ennis Rakestraw. Hey, guys, we're good. But if you're talking about depth, and we talk about depth all the time, now we're seeing the reasons why you need that secondary that way. And I apply some of the same principles to the wide receiver room, which is why I do put a lot of validity on what you were talking about earlier in the show with Juju. But shout out to Dante151 with the super chat $4.99. He said, I said it once, and I will say it again. As Aaron Rodgers once said, RELAX. Relax. People need to not overreact to some of these minor injuries.
That is 100% fair. I will cut the fans some slack, though, because we keep talking about how we as fans aren't used to rooting for a team that is Super Bowl or bust. And any of these injuries, although they've all turned out to be minor, especially someone to like Jahmyr Gibbs. I mean, think about this. All we heard was Jahmyr. Remember the very first report was Jahmyr Gibbs exits practice with a leg injury, and it's just like, because Jahmyr Gibbs is somebody whose absence they'd still be a good team without Jahmyr Gibbs, but maybe not as much of a Super Bowl favorite. And even those rookies getting nicks and bruises, those are players that historically, because they haven't played real NFL games, could probably benefit more from the reps than longtime veterans like, the Carlton Davises and the DJ Readers of the world. So I'm going to cut the fans some slack, although Dante151 in principle is absolutely right. Be on the field for week 1.
Listen, Glenn,
be on the field for week 1.
Glenn Jacobs says, in all caps, don't tell me to relax.
and that's what I'm saying.
What you mean?
I am not gonna denigrate any fan for having just a little minor inner monologue of doom when you see even minor injuries. But you got to snap out of it when the coach himself, Dan Campbell, says they'll be fine.
Yeah, and they've been people who've largely just kind of spoken the truth.
Yes.
They put it out there to the point of just being transparent. We're like, yo, you're just going to put your whole strategy out there, even with the draft.
Right.
And they went in there and they stuck to their guns.
Yeah.
It was interesting to see because, like, you're not afraid of somebody being able to kind of one-up you with your strategy, but that's when you are sure on your plan overall in your process and on the people that you have around you and on those that you've delegated to. This Lions organization and where they are in just Lions history, we have never seen anything like this. And like organizationally, I'm waiting for them to, punch that Super Bowl ticket, but organizations like, this is one of the most well-run teams or kind of periods in Detroit sports history, in my opinion.
It's one of the most well-run organizations in the National Football League right now. Who would have thunk it? Our Detroit Lions, but it's 100% true. But everything we've heard from the I obviously didn't listen because I was on this show, but I guess Dan Campbell spoke to 97.1, and it sounds to me, just from everything that I've heard from the chat, from KG, that all is well.
Yeah.
The only real, I would say, big injuries that the Lions have suffered have obviously been Emmanuel Mosley and John Kaminsky, and those are going to hurt, but they're not Super Bowl destroying type of injuries, not by any means. With all due respect to those guys.
And shout out to the chat. Would you like it if the Lions signed Juju as wide receiver 3? It was actually pretty close, and there was a lot of votes in there. 54% said no, 46% say yes, and that just flipped. It was just 53 to 47, so people are still getting active in the chats. And I do wonder, like the people who are voting no, that they don't want him, I do wonder, do you still have the concern about the wide receiver room at all? Or are you perfectly fine with going into the season, no matter what bumps, no matter what bruises, no matter what games might be missed, that this team will be able to weather that?
I mean, I can't get mad at people who even if they just see Sam Laporta and Amon-Ra St. Brown are like all pro, they maybe believe in JMO, which most people do. I understand that. It's just what I don't agree with, and I'm not saying you guys are wrong, although I think you guys are. The whole Juju Smith-Schuster is a diva or a bad culture fit. What he did in Kansas City showed me a lot, because that's the Kansas City Chiefs. If you think that I just like slob all over them, well, every single organization in the National Football League would cut off their own toe to be the Kansas City Chiefs of the last 5 years, whether you like it or not. 3 Super Bowls. They are the standard. The Detroit Lions might become the standard, and they're becoming one of the next tier of standards, but the Chiefs are the standard.
No, and Sam, I somewhat agree with you. I don't think you shouldn't sign Juju from a off the field perspective. I don't think, some of the things at this point in his career off the field are the biggest deal in the world. I do like what you said, about the Lions culture. Anybody can really work. If they identify that this is the guy that they want to bring in, I'm sure they can make it work. And I wouldn't be outraged over it. It's just Juju is a roller coaster of a player, man. He's been up and down in his career, and I do understand what he did in Kansas City. Don't get me wrong, but you said it. He was playing with Tyreek Hill, who was taking pressure off of him, and he was playing with Patrick Mahomes, who was throwing him the ball, which resulted in one of his better seasons. But if you just go back through his career, it's just up and down. He was also targeted like 100 times in Kansas City as well, but he was supposed to be an AB replacement. That kind of never worked out, and he's just been bouncing around the league ever since. So I don't know if I'm sold on a guy like that. If DPJ can't get the number 3 or 4, I don't really see how bringing Juju in is going to help you anymore,
Yep. And you know what? Something I want to do, especially as we continue to approach this Lions season, and we discuss their strengths, I do think it's appropriate that we discuss what concerns you. And I do want to ask the chat family, and I know maybe it's something that they can do during mailbag and continue to pester our chats as we get closer to the season. What does concern you, if anything, about the Detroit Lions during this Super Bowl season?
And before we go to break, I just want to correct you, KG. Tyreek Hill was not on the team. Travis Kelce was the number 1 receiver, number 1 leading receiver as a tight end, and then Juju Smith-Schuster was the second leading.
In 101 targets, I mean, I would expect him to put up that kind of yardage, when you got Patrick Mahomes throwing you the ball.
But
I will say that.
He got open. Let me just say this before we go to break. Tony D, he did nothing in Kansas City. Come on, man.
What?
Come on.
Yeah, you can't say that.
Come on. I'm not going to be mean.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
No, he contributed, and they won the Super Bowl that year. He contributed.
He was the second leading receiver on the team during the regular season. That was an MVP season for Patrick Mahomes. You can't say that he did nothing. If you want to say that he's
almost 1,000 yards.
If you want to say that you don't believe that he's a needle mover for the Detroit Lions, I'll disagree, but I will grant that as something valid. If you say an utter falsehood that he was bad in Kansas City, I got to call you out on that. So do some more research, brother.
Yeah, and you know what? We got to take a break. I want to get into the next segment, though. We're on the road, so
Boys and Girls Club. Join the best youth football league in Metro Detroit. The Boys and Girls Club of Southeastern Michigan's 3C Sports League offers youth ages 5 to 14 with 6 exciting teams to choose from in Detroit, Belleville, Highland Park, and East Point. All coaches are trained, certified, and undergo background checks. Register for football or cheer at bgcsm.org. Equipment, meals, and transportation included, all for a chance to play for a championship at Ford Field for just $175 per child. Put the youth back in youth sports with BGCSM 3C Sports.
The Great American Chevy Week is back and bigger than ever at Feldman Chevrolet. Choose from the largest inventory of award-winning Chevys, all priced to move for the biggest week of the year. Get this 2024 Silverado for only $213 a month, or this 2024 Equinox for as low as $249 a month. Feldman takes the Great American Chevy Week to another level. Feldman Chevrolet, Michigan's #1 Chevy dealer.
Woodward Avenue, the first paved road in America. Woodward Sports, the first sports network born in Detroit and made for Detroit.
Any Lady Jane's haircuts for men and claim your throne for a king's treatment from one of our talented stylists. Open 7 days a week. Walk in anytime. Just get to a Lady Jane's today and receive a precision haircut, scalp massage, hot lather neck shave, and a hot towel treatment. A haircut should not be a chore. It should be an experience. And that's exactly what Lady Jane's has to offer. Open 7 days a week. Walk-ins are always welcome. There's always a location near you. Lady Jane's haircuts for men. It's wicked awesome.
At Planet Fitness, you can get everything you need for just $1 down.
Trying out Planet Fitness and dang, they got lots of equipment.
Not me getting a Planet Fitness membership just for the 24-hour perk.
Hey, y'all better get on these free fitness training sessions from Planet Fitness.
Did y'all know that the PF app has workouts you can do at home?
Cheapest therapy I can find is Planet Fitness.
Join Planet Fitness today and get everything you need for just $1 down, $15 a month, cancel anytime. Deal ends Thursday, July 18th.
Is that an octopus in your pants, or are you just happy to see me? You should see what I did there. Go Red Wings! From Octopi Experts Woodward Sports.
Attention sports fans, don't miss out on expert sports injury insights with Dr. Jeff Pierce of Michigan Sports and Spine. Join Dr. Pierce every Tuesday on Big D Energy and every Thursday on Ermanni and Edwards, where he's offering you top-notch injury advice. Trust the guy that D-Mac does. Dr. Jeff Pierce is here to keep you in the game and performing at your best. All you got to do, for more information, visit MichiganSportsandSpine.com or call 248-426-9944.
How would you like to play in Darren McCarty's charity golf outing? Register today and you play like a VIP. Go to woodwardsports.com or scan the QR code on the screen to register.
And we are back. It is Wake Up Woodward. Thank you guys for kicking off today with the WUW Crew. We are live at Feldman Chevrolet of Novi. It is Michigan's #1 Chevy dealership. It's been a show, man. It's been a good show. It's been a lot of good topics. We had the news of the injuries, the concerns. That makes me feel a lot better, because I know that we speculated earlier that, you know what, we just think that it's just the bumps and the bruises, and kind of with Dan Campbell putting a lot of the fears and concerns to rest. It just makes me that much more comfortable. Super Bowl window, and the road to it is still intact.
Absolutely. Abso-freaking-lutely. and I want to make that clear, because I know people are going to say that, oh, my God, he thinks we're Juju Smith-Schuster away from the Super Bowl, or I was doomsdaying it all about injuries. That's not the case. Yeah. There's just contingency plans that need to be had, and I do accept Dan Campbell's explanation that all seems to be just fine.
Do you think he's better than Kenny Golladay? Because that was a conversation in the chat.
I saw that.
They both had such weird careers because Kenny Golladay was so good with the Lions and then fell off a cliff.
Yeah.
Juju Smith-Schuster looked like he was going to be one of the best receivers in the league. That never materialized.
Golladay got dropped from the U.S. space station, bro.
I think you got to give it to Juju just off the fact he has a Super Bowl ring.
Yeah,
So,
I was about to say that, like, they're both incredibly inconsistent. I'll just say that.
Yeah.
But had very high highs.
You know what? I want to get the chat family in on this as well. Absolutely. We got to get to our mailbag segment, but first, let's hear from Feldman.
Absolutely, Feldman, this wonderful building in which we are in, which saved me at a time from being vehicle-less for longer than I was because Feldman was here. And you can come here as well and get your car. There's locations all throughout Metro Detroit. We go to the Novi location and do a show here every single month, and at times we even do it like bi-weekly. So come see us at a time. And with 18 locations, there's 18 of them. There's a Feldman dealership in your backyard. And you can also visit their website at feldmanauto.com to find the location nearest you. Feldman Chevrolet, Detroit's #1 Chevy dealer.
And hey, you guys already know it is time for the Wake Up Woodward mailbag segment presented by Feldman.
Yes.
And listen, while you guys get your mailbag questions in, I also have a mailbag question for you guys. I do want to know, what's your level of concern with the Detroit Lions, or are you 100% fully bricked up? And I want to, if you can, by percentage, like, are you 70%, 80% as it relates to the Detroit Lions reaching that Super Bowl expectation?
I mean, it's hard to put a percentage on it, but I am fully bricked. Like,
Fully
don't get it twisted.
Yeah.
I am fully bricked. I said it before. We're talking about a wide receiver to be under Amon-Ra St. Brown and be under Sam Laporta as a pass catcher. That's not the worst problem to have. We're talking about depth on the offensive line. Depth that would have to play just in case there's an injury on the best offensive line in the NFL.
Yeah.
We're talking about first world problems. So yes, I am still very bricked.
Yeah, we're trying
Don't
to learn.
worry.
We're trying to figure out how to do this thing here.
I'm still bricked.
It's like
We
our
can see.
Lions are elite now. We're trying to figure out best how are we supposed to kind of see all of this stuff, because last year in KG we were on a couple shows together. We were freaking out at the trade deadline.
Yeah.
Freaking out, and clearly they knew what they had.
Yeah.
They knew, and we all said that. We said, man, we wish they did this, but if we're gonna say trust in Brad Holmes, then we're going to have to believe that they know exactly the squad that they got. And that's what I talk about as it relates to their transparency, man. They were comfortable, and they stated that. I'm just sitting there like, what? And obviously some changes you got to make sure you protect for that offseason ahead. But mailbag at Flannel Sam, and this is from Dante 151. Do you think Jake Rogers will be on the Tigers next season? He's on a 1-year deal at $1.7 million with the Tigers.
If he wants to be next season's Gerald Laird, then fine. and be like Tarek Skubel's personal catcher. But I hope that it's Dylan Dingler getting the majority of the at-bats, because he's another one. Ever since he's been called up, he's had some moments where it's looked a little shaky, but overall, his numbers are pretty solid. I like what I've seen from him. So as a backup only.
Yep, and this Juju stuff, man, I'm looking at the chats now. There's so many people here. Before we get to another question, just keys to wisdom. He said the point using J was to say he's not proven. Reynolds was. Juju is. We need a real wide receiver, so he's in favor of Juju. Tony D, Juju is tremendous like this show. Hey, we appreciate you, man. Eric Allen, I am not out on bringing in Juju. Just got to make the money work. Ryan's reaction, how much is Juju?
You probably get him for the minimum at this point. You ain't got to pay. I don't think money is an issue when it comes to him. Like I said, it's literally just will he be a good fit and will he contribute to winning? And I saw Eric Allen saying, a lot of people on the practice squad, got Super Bowl rings too. But he did contribute to winning on a Super Bowl team and throughout a playoff run. So that's the only reason I would give Juju the edge over Kenny Golladay. But what are we really talking about here,
Yep. Randall Smalls, mailbag. Is anyone else getting pissed off about all the micromanagement, i.e. someone tweaks a hammy and chat loses their mind? And I want to get you guys' opinions too. But Randall, again, as we sit up here, covering this Lions team from a perspective that no other media before us. Like, all media now is like, yo, Super Bowl expectations. Yeah. We're trying to figure this thing out, too, because in the past, these were the things that would mount for the Lions. These were the things that you see it, and you knew the snowball effect's about to happen, and everything's going to get derailed.
And Rando Smalls, I don't hate your sentiment because I can see how if you're somebody who has a level head, which I'm not saying that you don't. I'm giving you the benefit of the doubt that you do. If you're somebody that has a level head and you understand that these are probably minor, and if you were that person with a level head, it was proven out by what Dan Campbell said, I'm sure you are a little bit annoyed by all of us going like, oh my God, another injury. But to give us some credit, I don't think we're necessarily doing that. We're just being mindful. Nobody was freaking out.
Some people was freaking out.
Yes, that's fair. You're right.
Oh, man.
It's going to be that type of year, though. You just got to expect that.
Yeah, we got a couple more mailbag questions here, man. Eric Minion Sr., he said, mailbag, do y'all think we should sign Stephon Gilmore for another vet presence in the DB room?
I wouldn't be mad at it.
We've talked about a lot.
I did talk about it. You bring in Stephon Gilmore and you bring in Juju Smith-Schuster, you can get them both for probably a combined less than $10 million. I would do it. 100,000%. I'm not saying if you don't, the Lions are negligent. It's just if I were GM Flannel Sam, which thank God I'm not, I would do it.
What up, though, KG?
No, I agree. I've been on the Stephon Gilmore bandwagon. Now, I know the room is loaded when everybody's fully healthy, but with E-Man going down, I do see a need for maybe another veteran presence in that locker room. But if they chose not to, I mean, it is what it is. We just keep the money in our pocket.
Hey, let's rock. Edge, mailbag. What does Torque have to do in September to stay on this ball club? And it's some of the questions. It's what I was asking y'all earlier. We got to get these questions answered right now, in my opinion. I know, KG, you like, we're not going to get these answers this season, but what does he need to do?
Well, I mean, we'll get answers as far as whether Torque should have a future here. I definitely agree with that. He's got to be better at squaring up that fastball, man, at the MLB level. That was something that he absolutely struggled with. And I don't need to see the bombs. I just need to see the ball in play. And really, when you talk about a guy like Torque, he's I don't want to say he's one-dimensional, but he's not really that great defensively. So at the very least, you really want to see him do well at the plate. So I just need him to put some balls in play once he gets up back to the MLB level.
Boy, the bar is so much lower than I thought it would be for Spencer Torkelson. But for me, I've got a benchmark.
Sad.
If he has an on-base, like when he comes back till the end of the season, if he comes back, by the way, I want to see an on-base percentage of at least 300, which, by the way, is not a good on-base percentage, but it's better than what he was doing before, and or an OPS over 700, which is not a great OPS, but better than he was before. If he does not hit those thresholds, I want him launched to outer space. If he does, and he shows it over about a month, I will consider giving him another chance. Obviously, if he exceeds and whizzes past those expectations, then maybe we can even have those thoughts again about what if he's not done as the future first baseman.
Yeah. And there's some comments in here. Alan W., I feel you, bro. He said, y'all got to understand, for the first time in our lives, we got actual Super Bowl aspirations.
I get it.
Of course I'm going to worry when key players are dropping like flies.
If you got to trust the process, though. And I hate to bring up a Philly reference in this moment, but you got to trust the process. If you trust this team and you trust the organization, like they've built up equity at this point. So just me personally, I'm not going to be mad at any fan that gets mad, but me personally, I'm chill. Unless something catastrophic happens to golf or, any big names on this team, I'm good.
Yep. And Ryan's reaction, and I've seen a lot of polarizing comments. Man, you started something with this wide receiver stuff, Flannel.
Yeah.
Listen, Ryan's reaction, we're too worried about wide receiver because we're not counting receiving options. Gibbs, Monty, Laporta are all receiving options.
Yeah.
2, he says even Brock Wright's a receiving option. TJ Whammo, he says, I'm seeing several tweets. I was about to call him Waymo, but there's an H in there.
Waymo.
Why, though? Because he says, I'm seeing several tweets saying J-Mo is crushing it in practice this morning, man. The wide receiver swings with the Lions is going to be all over the place. But the keys to wisdom, giving a guy a wide receiver 2 spot is stupid to and against our team culture. You compete and you win the job. Wide receiver 2 and wide receiver 3 is up for grabs. Nobody on our team has proven to be those things. And I guess he's aiming that at J-Mo because Dan Campbell came out and said, look, he's our wide receiver 2. We haven't seen him earn it. But they said that he knows that he's put in the work.
Yeah.
Now, what have they given us any other time to doubt what they've said?
Now, and this is coming from me, just so I hope it hits a little bit differently. I I have full confidence that J-Mo has earned wide receiver 2.
Yeah, I don't even know where that's coming from.
In a training camp. When I'm talking about Juju Smith-Schuster, I'm talking about him being under J-Mo. I'm talking about him maybe even being under Khalif. It's just, I like a wide receiver room of Amon-Ra, J-Mo, Khalif, and Juju Smith-Schuster better than having to potentially rely on guys who clearly aren't separating from the pack in training camp and that mix of wide receiver 4 to like wide receiver 11.
Yep. A couple more mailbag questions. Mailbag, Jay Hart. Kool-Aid, going back to the J.B. Bickerstaff interview, talking about J.D. and having Bam-like abilities. I've been saying J.D. could bring a Bam-type play to the Pistons. Do you believe J.B. can unlock that in J.D.? We talked about it. We all thought, you know what, maybe that is a good kind of player arc or comparison for Jalen Duren. Then we asked the GOAT, Greg Kelser, what does he think? And who did he say? Bam. So you know what? You're not off from your thinking, Jay Hart. I like the thought. I saw another one in here that was pretty interesting. Noah M wants to know, mailbag, we got the Bar King this week. Not this week because we have remotes, not just today, but the next 3 days after as well, Thursday, Friday, and Monday. And there was another mailbag in here I wanted to be able to read. I thought it was pretty fun. Where's it at? Oh, mailbag. Eric Meehan Sr. It's about my linebackers. He says, at KG. And I want to hear your thoughts as well, Flannel. What do you see Jack Campbell doing this year? And we can end it on this one.
Good question, man. I need to see a 115 tackle floor from Jack Campbell this year. And I understand you still have Anzo on this team. He's going to play a big part, but I need to see 115 tackles from him. I need to see more TFLs from him as well. And if he's really showing improvement, maybe an interception or 2. But that's all I would need to see from him this year. But the 115 tackles is a definite. I need that.
Oh no, you go on. Give me a trust.
I mean, I'm pretty much in lockstep. I don't really have a whole lot to add. I would say, and this isn't if he doesn't hit this benchmark, it's a failure. But I would like to see him maybe even lead the team in tackles. 115 might do it. 115 just might do it. And like you said, KG, maybe a few more splash plays.
Yeah, and kind of a more nuanced question from me before. I'm going to read Alan W. first and ask my question. He said, Jack Campbell has a sack and an interception at today's practice. That's awesome because we keep talking about, can he find that right balance of what? Playing in the backfield, helping to stop the run, as well as coverage, dropping back. So it's cool to hear that he has stats doing both of those today, interception as well as get into that backfield. But my kind of nuanced question on this: is it a disappointment if he does not overtake Anzalone this year as that top lead linebacker?
This year, I would say no. But next year, if we still have Anzalone, then I would expect him to surpass him at this point. He's still a young linebacker. He has a lot to learn. And like I say, everything that he struggles with is the same things a lot of linebackers struggle with in this league. That is covering running backs out of the backfield, covering slot receivers. But in the run game, to me, he's already there. Like, he knows how to shoot gaps. His sideline-to-sideline speed is really, really good. So in the run game, I'm not worried about him. I need to see him be better in coverage. But this year, I don't need to see him overtake Anzo. Next year, though, absolutely.
All right, so I'm not going to say call out, but Chase Amley, I think, is maybe had a little bit too much Red Bull this morning. Love you, man. But he asks, do you mean solo tackles or total tackles? And when I heard that, I'm like, total.
Yeah, total,
obviously,
of course.
Total, but then this freaking guy right here, solo tackles should be minimum 100. We should want 170 total tackles.
That's crazy.
All right, Chase Amley.
Come on, bro.
All right, Chase Amley. Should we call him like Ray Campbell or Jack Lewis? Which one?
Ray
Willis or Patrick Campbell? Which one?
Hey, listen, whichever
Ray
one.
Butkus or Dick Campbell? Which one? Which one, Chase Amley?
Dick Campbell. That's wild. That's a wild name.
That's the name right
Chase,
there.
I love your enthusiasm.
Madman, Flannel.
That is aggressive, bro.
You know what?
Campbell.
I wanted, you know what?
It just sound weird,
Meat
bro.
Missile is growing up. I'm sorry. Phil, though, teams are going to throw on Campbell. And you know what? That's why I like the reports that we're hearing right now.
Yeah.
You know what? Throw on him. Because Dan Campbell and these guys, they did not make any improvements to the linebacker core.
Yeah.
No improvements. They're depending on, and not just today, did they not make improvements? They weren't saying, okay, we're looking for Alex Anzalone to return and be that guy. They said, no, Jack Campbell has made that improvement. That's why we don't have to go out there and make that change right now. If he doesn't look like the guy this year or next year, obviously you're going to have to do something. But I believe he's going to be that guy.
I mean, Chase Samley is 170 tackles, or we should cut him from the team. He does not even get a year 3 with the Detroit Lions unless he doesn't get 170 tackles.
Yeah, that's wild.
Bro, like, that's – and Chase –
I'm surprised it's coming out of Chase.
I don't hate your enthusiasm. I don't hate your enthusiasm. And yes, we saw some players get over 170 this year. So if you're let me give him this bit of the benefit of the doubt. If you're talking about Jack Campbell having a 170 tackle season at some point in his career, I'm not mad at that. It's just when we're talking about year 2 players and you bring up 170 and we're talking about potentially disappointing seasons, that to me is a little bit aggressive. But if he does it, they're a 13-4, 14-3 team.
Shout out to Dante151. He said that name should be on a T-shirt. Dick
Campbell.
Dog. Let's go.
No,
what
Chase. Chase.
Oh.
I am not confusing solo tackles and total tackles. I'm saying that 170 total tackles is a lot.
Yes.
That he had 95 last year.
Exactly.
He had 95.
You are at man 170 solo tackles. You realize how much that is.
Shout out to the Bulge Army man, Dick Campbell, about to have a season. Let's go.
Dick Campbell.
Let's go. John in the chat just said Spillman never had 170 tackles.
Let me okay, so last season, just to give a bit of a gauge, maybe calling him like Ray Campbell or Jack Lewis if he gets 170 is a little bit aggressive. There were 4 players that had over 170 tackles last year.
Solo?
Total.
Okay, yeah, because I'm like, no way.
Total. All right, so Chase, that's the year before there were 2 total. The year before that there were 3. All I'm saying is that Jack Campbell being top 5 in the NFL in tackles is, I think that's a little bit aggressive this year. That's all. That's all.
Man, Jack Campbell. I think we're gonna need a segment, man. We're gonna need a segment. I'm gonna round it off with this from the
People
chat.
sleep, man.
Yeah, listen, the keys to wisdom. Jack Campbell was very good as a rookie, second in tackles, but we do not need him to be gangbusters for us.
Facts.
We have great linebacker depth, and all the guys can play well. I agree with that, but I do think this linebacker core needs to take a step forward. If they do, these are the things to me that ultimately push the Detroit Lions over the edge, because just as we all know, they've struggled in third quarters, and they didn't score much in the second half against the 49ers. We know how that game went. The defense also, though, got lit up.
Yes.
And part of that is going to be on those linebackers. Man.
Well, and to ease your mind, and this is just a projection, I'm not saying that I'm all-knowing. If you tell me that Alex Anzalone is at his ceiling, sure. If you tell me that Derek Barnes is at his ceiling, sure. Jack Campbell is going to improve.
Yes.
There is no doubt in my mind that he's going to at least take a step. Is it going to be a step into 170 tackles? I'm not necessarily sure, but he will, just him making even a marginal step will improve this line.
Right. That's why I said 115. They wild.
Here's the bet. We got the JAMA watch.
Yes.
How many how many total tackles does it take for you to wear Dick Campbell?
170. 170. Jack.
That's just 2 names that don't go together. Dick and Campbell.
This is Flannel's fault, dog.
I don't know why that's popping me like that. But
the chat loves it too,
oh,
dog.
my God.
Oh, my gosh, dog. You know what? Yeah, we're gonna have to talk about Jack Campbell a little bit more. I didn't know that he was going to be as kind of hot a topic right now. And you know what? When we talk about the question marks on offense, we instantly go wide receiver. Question marks on defense. Injury is going to be a big concern on your defensive line, your secondary. But if you're just talking about position group overall, doesn't it have to be the linebackers, or is it still that secondary?
It's, man.
We got stuff to talk about.
Yeah, you know what, let's hold that thought, because I think there's for the most part a fully healthy unit at every level is very, very good and could even be great.
Yeah.
And I think we should just leave it at that and then maybe get into it on another day.
Definitely. Yes. You know what? That's the show. Shout out to our brother Matthew Broder, who wasn't here today, but will be back with the crew. Can't wait to have him back, his energy. And FAB never misses, man. I can't wait. And we're on remote, so guys, continue to kick along with us. It's going to be a great week. We got some golf courses on the way, and stay tapped because the one at the end of the month is going to be epic, and I cannot wait. Shout out to Broder, our Credential Tigers and Lions, reporter and writer for the network. Intern Chase, thank you for supporting the chat today. We got that dude Justin here. I saw somebody earlier ask if he was still in. He is still here. Shout out to that dude Justin. The vet of the network, it is Flannel Sam. I've seen this guy continue to do work for a long time here. Hey, as long as I can remember Woodward Sports, man, it's been a Flannel Sam.
Hey, you too, though. Hey, you're a veteran yourself, man.
Appreciate you, brother. You've helped me a lot along the way, man, and I appreciate what you do for us. Shout out to Detroit's #1 draft pick, running sounds today, and made sure that we got that call off right with Rod Beard. That is KG.
Oh, you know I'm gonna look out for the squad. Let's go. Always, man. But shout out to everybody. Great show today, man. Can't wait to get Broder back in. Let's keep this rolling, man. Good week.
Let's keep it rolling. Shout out to JB Smooth as well. Hey, let's just turn the camera to him. You gotta wave to the people.
I gotta see what we can do here.
Say what
there
up,
he is.
To the people. That's JB Smooth. A lot to deal with these remotes, man. All the time set up. Make sure everything going right. Thank you, JB Smooth. And it's your boy Brandon Day, aka Detroit Kool-Aid, your Credential Pistons reporter, writer for the network. Thank you guys for kicking around. We'll wake up Woodward this morning. Hey, you got Big D Energy next, live from Feldman of Novi, man. It's Michigan's #1 Chevy dealership. Say hi to the people, Justin, before we sign off. What up, though? Have a great day. Be blessed.
Big D Energy starring Dick Campbell.